It is my undoubted pleasure to be speaking to Mr. Scott Rouse from his own channel. You have your own channel now, right? Ah, and of course,
Yeah.
we're talking about, like sharing. Oh no, wait, sorry guys.
I've done that.
There we go. So you see, guys, this is why a 56-year-old woman should not have access to YouTube. Because this is the one that I had prepared. This is your own channel now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there it
Oh
is.
my goodness, that is so awesome.
No,
Are
thank
you
you.
still doing the behavior panel?
Oh yeah, we have a show comes out today at 12:30.
Oh, okay.
So,
Like I've been watching your videos. I've been watching your videos like crazy. I mean,
oh, well, thank you.
I'm such a huge fan, you know. I've seen Russell Brand. Uh, we have so many fascinating things to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about
Good.
Meghan Markle, some clips I have that I
Good,
want you
because
to
I've got
tell
I've,
me.
I've got about 20 minutes, so let's get to. Just kidding.
Oh, sorry about that. Yes, okay. So let's get to it, guys.
No, we'll do this as long as you want. I'm just messing with you.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I have some clips because it's like I'm. I wonder if you can tell my body language. I'm excited that you're here. So yeah, I mean, I'm very easy to read. This is why I couldn't be a good actress. You know, if you catch me in a crime, I think I would give it away. I
Everybody
nervous
thinks
laugh.
that.
I would no. You know how some people stay cool under pressure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to just start giggling or just, I say, yes, I did, because my eyes always give me away when I'm angry or something. I don't know how people hide it. But
Yeah.
so I wanna show you a clip. Okay, I'm gonna preface this clip, guys. And if you have questions, put Q Q Q. So I know it's a question for Mr. Scott or Scott. But I want to show you this clip. To preface this clip was an Access. This is Martha Stewart being interviewed with Jose. What's his name, guys? It's a chef, Jose Andres, that is very friendly with Meghan Markle and Harry. So they're promoting a show that's Yes Chef, right? And they asked Martha Stewart, "Have you seen Meghan Markle's show?" And she goes, "No, is it out?" So I mean, I don't think she was being shady, but yes,
Yeah.
the show had been out for a couple of months. And then they asked Jose Andres this question. So I want you to look at his reaction, and then I'm gonna this is the day before Meghan Markle went and did the 100 gala, and she
Okay.
gave a different answer. So I want you to see if it's being what do you take from him? Okay, so I'm gonna share
Okay.
this if I can get it right. Let me see, Jose Andres. Here, here we go. This is Jose Andres when he's asked about Megan being on her show.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Larry, so we might see you in that show next.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Very
but
excited.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But maybe, I don't
Maybe
know.
season 2.
Oh, there it is.
Maybe 3 or maybe 4. Who knows?
That first maybe here, right there. If you're looking for deception, right there it was. I've never seen somebody that's called a single shoulder. He did a couple of regular shoulder shrugs, but when you do a single shoulder shrug and the chin goes toward that, and that's in my experience. There are no studies that show this. Usually, I make sure everything I talk about is backed by studies and all that, because in with my job, if I give somebody bad information, it might get them killed. So I want to
Oh
make sure
God.
everything is. I want to make sure everything is studied. Not just one, but a bunch of studies. This is not any studies. This is from personal experience. And so when something like that comes up in its personal experience, I have to say, in my experience, I'm aware of this. But if I was a betting man, I'd say he's not being honest, because that one little thing. Usually, you have to group those things together. He's on TV, so it's really hard. He's probably a little bit nervous. He's probably glad he's there. He's got excitement, all kinds of emotions people experience when they get on TV and people are talking to them and it's about them. And then you look at them and ask them a question. But in this situation, taking all that into consideration, the single shoulder shrug, even though he had a couple of regular shoulder shrugs and the chin goes toward it, I'd say that's being deceptive, since you already know the outcome of it. So,
Well, no, I don't know the
you
outcome. The Meghan Markle still hasn't, because you see, her shows were recorded last year, back to
oh,
back.
okay.
She recorded 16 episodes, and they just showed 8, right?
Mm.
So this is now they haven't shown the other 8 that they're calling it the second season, but it's actually the remaining
Oh,
8 episodes that she recorded last year. Okay,
whoops.
so they're calling it the second season. So
Okay.
they're asking him, "Are you going to be on her show? Are you going to appear on her show?" So
Oh,
keep
oh,
in mind.
oh. So whatever he did there, then whether he said yes or no, whatever, I think he's being deceptive with it, from what I can see on the thing. Now, I
So you
could be
think he is
completely
going to be on
wrong.
her show?
Is he? Okay, well,
I don't know.
let's go back over that. Let me see what he's being all, because it could be
Okay.
just be a lack of confidence is what that
Okay.
could be. But his
Let's go.
chin
Yeah.
goes toward there,
Because
so I don't know. I'll have
let's
to.
watch it again. Let's watch it
Yeah.
again. So you can unmute it.
Next to people that needed hope and empathy.
Absolutely. Yeah, Larry, so we might see you in that show next.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Very
but
excited.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But maybe, I don't
Maybe
know.
season 2. Maybe season 2.
Maybe 3 or maybe 4. Who knows?
Martha,
Oh, so he's pretending he doesn't know. Oh, I can't hear you.
They're asking him because he was praising Meghan Markle. So they asked him, "So are you going to be on her show?" And he goes, "No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe season 3 or 4."
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think he's being honest about that answer. I'd go with that, since his chin goes toward his shoulder like that, the single shoulder shrug. So whatever he's talking about, I don't believe he's being honest about it.
Do you think it's
That's
because he doesn't want to be on the show, or because he is in the show already? But there is
I'm
some
not.
deception there.
Yeah. And like I said, there are no definitive studies that show for sure that means that they're being deceptive. But in my experience, I've seen deception every time that person's been lying to me when I see the single shoulder, even though it's really quick like that. I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
it
yeah.
every time. So I don't think he's being honest about that answer.
Because then we have Megan saying the following. Let me see if I get the right one.
Okay.
Let me see. Oh God. And our first no. This is something that let me see. I'm trying to get her one with the times 100 that she was there, and the times 100 that she spoke about um in that. So I'm just sorry
I don't know
about.
what kind of filter you have on here, but look, I look all tan and stuff.
You do?
Yeah, I'm not this tan.
I don't have any filters.
Maybe it's in this. Maybe it's in. What
It's
is
the
it?
lighting. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know how to. I'm not using. I wish I knew how to use filters because I would get rid of all my
Me too.
all my
I need a
wrinkles.
nose. I need a nose filter. Make my nose smaller. Look at that thing.
So
Huge.
this is the one I believe when she's asked about who's she gonna have in her next series, right? On her second season. Let me see.
Okay.
Because she's been asked there. So let me just make sure. So we're gonna go through that, right?
Conversational and more relatable we wanted it to be. I was able to get legends like Alice Waters, who she's amazing. I just love her so much, and we've now become friends. Having her on the show, and also other friends as well who we haven't revealed things about season 2, and Ted will come here later, but I can apologize in advance for saying, Jose Andres is going to be on season 2. We love Jose so much. So I think my wish.
This is the day after Chef Jose Andres was on Access, the interview that I showed you, where he said, "No,
Mhm.
I'm not on her second season, maybe the third and fourth." And then she's going like, and she must have seen that interview because she names Alice Waters, who is also like Martha Stewart, but lower,
Mhm.
because she feels bad. This is the kind of woman, in my opinion, who feels slated when people don't. When Martha Stewart said, "I haven't
Yeah.
seen her show. Is it out already?" So this is now she's saying that Alice is a legend, and they've become friends now. And then she says Ted Sarandos, who's the Netflix CEO, is going to kill me for saying who's on season 2, but it's going to be Jose Andres. Do you think
Okay.
she's being honest there?
Let me watch it one more time, because I didn't have the whole explanation there of what was happening.
Okay.
But I didn't see anything that looked deceptive. I mean, out of the gate, like I did in the first one. I don't see
There
anything.
is, I'm not a body language expert, but there's one thing when she talks about it that she blinks, that is kind of like, she looks like Ted Sarandos is going to kill me. And she specifically names Jose Andres after the day after he says, I'm not going to be on her show. So to me, that was very telling, but I'll rewind it for you.
Okay.
Able to get legends like Alice Waters, who she's amazing. I just love her so much, and we've now become friends. Having her on the show, and also other friends as well who we haven't revealed things about season 2, and Ted will come here later, but I can apologize in advance for saying, Jose Andres is going to be on season 2. We love Jose so much. So I think my wish list has.
So the question is he going to be on there? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, they're asking her the question was actually, who would you like to have on your show that you haven't had? And she, of course, she doesn't say, I want to have this and this and that. She instead says, oh, I had Alice Waters, and she never says who she'd like to have. She already says she has enough legends, and there's people who are coming on her show on second season, and that Ted Sarandos is going to kill her because Jose Andres is going to be there. She's not supposed to be saying it. So she says that the very next day after Jose Andres said, no, I'm not there. I'm not on season 2. Well, it's not season 2. It's there are other 8 episodes that Netflix haven't released because they did so badly.
Okay, maybe she's not saying who she'd like to have on there because she knows there probably won't be a real season 2, and so she can't. She's afraid those people might get a hold of her and say, "Hey, I'll be on your show" or whatever. I don't know, but and if you're talking about that blinking thing where her eyes were closed, like that, we call that eye blocking. But I think she's thinking about something as she's doing that. She's trying to think of something great to say about that person. Maybe that's what's going on. Because I don't see any deception in here anywhere. It's just you're dealing with a high-end clinical narcissist in a situation like this. So there are a lot of things that go on that will you're not really seeing the real person. So you're seeing the sort of like the outer shell of what they're trying to hide or guard when you're dealing with that kind of person. And here, I think she's just so glad to see that face right there that says, "I'm so glad I'm here." And everybody's looking at me, and I know it. That's what you call her show face, in other words. A lot of times, a lot of times I call that extra face. You're on camera, people are watching, you're just trying to look, you're trying to put on the face where you feel like you're being normal. Nobody sits around looking like this all the time. Like if when you and I were talking before this, and I was going, it's just fake, because that's what I would do if I was, going to be on some show. I try to smile and look like I'm relaxed, but even though I'm not. But when you and I are talking, I just make this face because I don't feel like a bunch of people are watching. So, but if I got the impression a bunch of people are watching, I'd be like, have my best face on. So this is her show face, in other words, or her extra face that we're seeing. Of course, because she's on TV, but I'm not seeing deception in there. And maybe she's not naming those people because, like I said before, maybe she knows there won't be a real season 2, so there's no reason to even bring them up because what they called, and she'd have to say, we're not doing a season 2 for real. We're not doing it anymore. Has she lost her deal or something?
Well, no. The thing is that they recorded 16 episodes, but she has this reputation, Scott, for putting people on the spot. So you see, and she doesn't like to be slighted. So the fact that Martha Stewart said, and they really asked her, and she wasn't being mean. Do you want to see what Martha Stewart said? She wasn't being mean. They were just, have you seen Meghan Markle's show? And she goes, no, is it out yet? And the guy goes, yeah, it's been out for a couple of months. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to see one episode and see what happens. And then Jose Andres actually goes on and praises Meghan Markle for being an Angelino. They didn't donate any money, but she gave hugs, and she showed up. And then they go, oh, so you're going to be on her show for season 2? And he goes, no, I don't think so. Because keep in mind that this was asked in April this year. And these 16 episodes were recorded last year. Okay. So he would know whether he is in her show or not. So the very next day, she goes on the stage and she says, "Oh, Ted Sarandos is going to kill me, but I'm going to have Chef Jose Andres." And I see like a defiance when she says that, and she closes her eyes. It's like, I'm going to have him on. It's kind of like putting Netflix on the spot to make this happen. Because if she could have started with Jose Andres, like with heavyweights like Jose Andres on her first 8 episodes, why start with her stylist that nobody knew?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or now she says she's going to have Chrissy Teigen, a known bully, on season 2. Why not start with the heavyweights rather than people nobody knew about? If she already had this thing, because you want to attract people, you want like that's how you hook people. I'm Jose Andres, Roy Choi, that chef, that and Alice Waters, or heavy people. Then yes, you want to see that. But her stylist, the first episode that nobody knew who he was.
Hmm.
You know, but I don't know. She has that reputation for putting people on the spot, and that way.
Have you seen the show? Did you watch it?
Oh God, I had to for her because my channel talks about that crap. But I can honestly tell you, that I interviewed Scott. I interviewed her maid, one of the not her maid, but one of the. They hire a service out of, that they hire like agencies, right?
Yeah.
So this lady, poor lady, she tried to talk to people in different YouTubers, but nobody wanted to speak to her because she's Latino. I don't know if there's some sort of discrimination, the fact that she's Latino or why, whatever. So she finally ended up, I get those emails and I'm like, you still, because I get, that you get a bunch of emails, right? I go,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
yeah. You work for Meghan Markle, right? But then she sent me her ID. I had my cousin go verify her. I called the agency. I verified because they can send you somebody's ID, but you don't know if that's the same person. They
Yeah.
could have gotten her ID. But so then we did a face-to-face call, and then she was verified. And everything this woman told me basically came true. She said that Meghan would mock their accent. We saw her in second episode with Mindy Kaling mocking her accent. That she threatened to deport them because she would make them work. I don't know what the legal hours are in California, but she would start her day at 6 and finish at 7:30 and at night because Meghan, you know how you're allowed to eat lunch?
Hmm.
Well, if they ate lunch, they had to repay that time by working extra. So they had to work the 12 hours for her.
Oh, that's gross.
Yes,
That's
and
too
she would
bad.
threaten. She would tell them, "I have the governor of California on speed dial, right?" And sure enough, the
Oh,
the
to threaten
California
her.
of California came out and defended Archwell when they're still delinquent, by the way. And he was doing this thing, and he publicly used that platform to defend Archwell Foundation that was actually delinquent. And
Wow.
yet, and then she said she doesn't live in Montecito because when we came, there were some packages. They would come around 10 in the morning, and then Harry and Meghan would come in different cars, and then they would leave us. If they needed to stage a pap walk, then they would leave out together. But that was staged because they already had people that were going to take the pictures of them leaving out together, right? And then she said that, yeah. And then she said, and one time there were some packages that came, and she said, send them to my condo. Now it's funny because everything she said, people completely mocked me, trashed me for it because I was a liar, blah, blah, blah. Yet everything this lady said after the interview, it was proven right. And then Tatler did an interview where they said that they met with the Duchess at her £2 million condo in California. They didn't say Montecito.
Hmm.
And nobody picks on that, so the lady wasn't lying and everything she said. I mean, we see her
Wow.
mocking Mindy Kaling. She does have the governor of California in speed dial, who went on very publicly to defend a very delinquent charity, if you can call it that. So it is it's very telling that people are always put on the spot. Like, why would the governor of California use a platform when he went to open something to say, "Oh, by the way, people are trashing Archwell and blah blah blah. They're not delinquent. It's a mistake with the DOJ."
Hmm.
It's insane, how they managed to do this. So this is why I was wondering if this is a way for her to force now Netflix to produce Jose Andres and to shade them, because just the day before he had said, no, I don't think so. That's why I was very, very much.
Okay, what if it's this? What if when they were cutting those first um 16 seasons, what if he thought that was what if he's aware of, okay, I'll be in episode 12 of the 16, but they only do 8. But this is before he found out they were cutting the season in half to make it into 2 episodes. So he's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not going to be in the first season. I'll be in or in the second season
It's
because I'm
not
in the
seasons,
first
it's
season.
16 episodes that they filmed. That's it. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
it's
Okay, so
16
he knew there was
episodes.
only going to be
It's
16.
not seasons, it's 16 episodes. That's all they recorded. That's 16 episodes.
Right.
So it's
But
very interesting.
now she's calling it 2 episodes. Or
Well,
2,
now
2
she's calling it the
seasons.
seasons because they only showed 8. Because when I know you did a live about that or something like that about it is the most negatively rated, what you might call it, trailer that
Mm.
Netflix put out. It was so the comments were just brutal, and she was really angry they didn't turn off the comment section, and she wanted them to turn off the comment section on time 100, but they didn't. So it is brutal. It is brutal, the censorship, but you don't sense any deception or anything on
Nah.
face value, and that's okay. She's not being deceitful. That's fine. And maybe Jose Andres isn't there, and now he feels embarrassed given the backlash that the first 8 episodes have had.
Yeah.
And sitting right next to Martha Stewart, who thinks nothing of her. So, but in this thing, she also talks about love.
Okay.
And she says that this is the happiest she's ever been. So let's watch this.
That we create for them. I never, of all the things that have happened in my life, I never would have imagined getting here at this point. I would feel just so happy and grateful, and I really do. Well, that's so nice.
And that really does come out in your show. You obviously have to just let some things go. I love that you're high-low. This all looks wonderful, but you can do some of it. It's not perfection. It's just,
no.
I love how a journalist from Business Insider lived your life for a week, or tried to.
Part to have a partner and a husband who is just so supportive, and to have healthy kids that are so joyful in the freeness of comfortably say stick.
Well,
And
it's
I think
interesting here.
confession
Hang
for
on
you
just a second.
today that I could very comfortably
Pause that just a
say
second.
is I'm happiest.
She's not the interviewer is asking the question, but she's answering it to the audience. This is another narcissistic, the narcissistic personality type. In other words, they'll do things like that. They're going for the big crowd. The world, in other words, has to see me as this big wonderful thing. So that's why she's saying all these wonderful things. I've never been so happy. I've never done this and that. And she's saying that to the audience, not to the person asking her the question. She wants to make sure everybody knows that. So I think that's interesting when you see something like that, that you just put that over the little pile of bricks you build up for the narcissist wall. You'd say, okay, here's a break for that pile. So that right there would be a flag that would tell you this might be a narcissist you're dealing with. Although I think everybody's under the impression that we're dealing with a narcissist anyway. But that's one of the flags you look for, is when the person may ask them a question, but they'll look to the crowd, or they'll look to 3 or 4 other people that may be in the group they're talking to and answer the question in a small way. I mean, it's not like that every time, but that's what we're seeing here.
Yeah, actually, this is the clip that I wanted to play, because this is when she's describing how happy she is. Because I know you saw a clip, so I'll let you see. So you think that, I know you've never diagnosed her nor talked to her in person, but do you think she's a narcissist?
Yeah. I think there's no question about that. I don't think there's any question about that whatsoever. I'd put all my chips over on she's a narcissist, not having seen evidence of that, and not just my opinion, but from people in the psychology world, people in the psychiatry world see that and go and watch her as the behavior as a group. You can't just look at one little clip and go, "Oh, we're dealing with a narcissist because she said so and so, or look this way or that way." That's why I said it's just a little flag. But that for me is, I look for the evidence of these things. And then it all piles up, and you say, well, it's a pretty good chance that person's probably a this or that. Because I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I deal in personality types when I'm an interrogator. So I have to know what I'm dealing with. So I'm way deep in those, but I would never go to school or pretend that I was a psychologist or psychiatrist, because those guys will eat your lunch when you start pretending you're like that. When you talk to a real one, I've seen people do that, sit around and talk about psychology and psychiatry and the in-depth parts of these personality types, which I'm aware of and have studied for years and years and years. But I would never come on like I was educated enough to go through the things that a psychiatrist or a psychologist go through to become that, a doctor of psychiatry or doctor of psychology. So I'm just telling you, from what I've seen and from my understanding, the evidence that I'm looking at and what I've heard, clinical psychologists say, there's a narcissist, then it's probably a narcissist.
But do you think that people like her are able to feel love? Or is it something,
Yeah.
because the thing is, though, And I did this thing that I was talking to. I have a friend of mine. She actually is from Argentina, and she works with. She just did this panel on murders and all these really horrible people, and she basically gets to interrogate them, and it's on psychopaths, and they kill children, stuff like that, right? And I said, how can you interrogate these people? And she says one of the things that is part of it is deep rooted narcissism. A lot of them, they really don't feel anything, and because this woman manages to cut relationships just like that.
Okay.
So that is that a big tell that she could be also a psychopath? Because how can you cut somebody out of your life so completely? It's done.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's one thing to keep in mind, especially now psychopathy. That's my wheelhouse. I deal with those with psychopaths all the time. I'm very familiar with that world. I have a thing on my channel called the Psychopath Awards, where I had people nominate and then vote for the psychopaths, and and then I got all my friends who are body language experts and comedians and things, and then we put together this thing called the Psychopath Awards. So when you're dealing with psychopaths, you understand that all narcissists or all psychopaths are narcissists, but not all narcissists are psychopaths. So there's a difference in the narcissist and the psychopath. The narcissist has a normal brain. Everything's functioning for the most part normally. But with a psychopath, you've got things you're dealing with like the amygdala, which is part of the limbic system. And it's not, and that's the thing that protects you and makes you look out for things, and you get excited or you get shocked, and it's always on, but it helps protect you, put you into the fight or flight mode, fear, fight, or freeze, fight, or flight
Yeah.
mode. So, and it lets you have empathy for people. You have sympathy and you have empathy. Sympathy is where you feel sorry for somebody. You may see somebody, for example, hit their hand with a hammer when they're nailing something. They'll hit their finger or their thumb, and you go, oh, and you'll go, oh, that's too bad. They hit their thumb. I know that probably hurts, and I feel bad that happened for them. But empathy is where you see somebody do it and you go, oh man, I'll bet that hurt. So you can sort of live that pain yourself. Psychopaths can't do that. They're not able to feel that pain from an empathetic point of view, you see, whereas a
Mhm.
narcissist can. However, you've got narcissists that are really bad people, really mean people. So it's hard to say a narcissist, can they cut off people and not be a psychopath? Yeah, they can do all kinds. They kill people and do things like that and still not be a psychopath. Me and you could go out and kill people and not be a psychopath. We'd probably feel horrible about it
Mm.
if we did that, but it wouldn't mean we're a psychopath just because we did that. There's a history that comes with psychopathy most of the time. You mean when you're little is when it starts because you're mean to animals.
Yeah.
You don't understand the empathetic side of things. You're really mean to other little children, and then you quite often, almost every time, they'll develop a drinking or a drug problem. They'll have a history of being in going to jail, then going to prison, those kind of things. And then you deal with what people call a sociopath, and then you have the psychopath. And a sociopath is just um, they're just violent criminals, basically, really hardcore violent criminals who grew up in a situation where they saw violence all the time. Maybe one of their parents or both of them were alcoholics or drug addicts and beat them all the time. And everything's a horrible world to them. So they're horrible back to the world.
Mm.
Their emotions don't get a chance to um, grow. They're not addressed when they're little, so their emotions don't develop. So they don't have empathy. If they do, it's very little. But then if
But
you do a brain,
even when they have had for example, Meghan Markle had an incredibly, very, very privileged upbringing. I mean, her father gave her everything since preschool. Her preschool cost back then $18,000 a year. I mean, she went to the elite. I mean, she's never gone to public schools like at all. She's gotten everything she wanted, and her father always made sure that nobody contradicted her. That if she was wrong, no, she was always right. Do you think that contributes? This is not blaming the father or anything, but this is a legit question. If there is already, there's a saying in Spanish, you cannot straighten a crooked tree. Is it? I don't know if it makes any sense in English, but um, uh, is it possible that you're born with these tendencies, and if not corrected, can grow?
okay, that's a heavy question. There's a lot going on there because narcissism can be caused by or encouraged to develop by parents. Because when you're a little kid and you're told, oh, no matter what happens, you're the most wonderful thing in the world. This is the greatest thing ever. You only deserve to be around all these kinds of people. You only deserve the very best. Every parent feels that way for their child. But at the same time, they're realistic with that child. Say, yeah, you're the prettiest thing in the world. You're the best little child in the whole wide world. But they don't go deep and go, there's nobody, listen to me, there's nobody better than you. You are the number one thing in the world. They don't go that hard with it, but they give them an impression that they are that person, and it sticks with them. As they grow older, then that's what they turn into. Then you have that style. Then you have the style whose parents are, their parent may be a narcissist. Let's say you got a girl and her mother's a hardcore narcissist. Then the odds of that child turning into a narcissist, it doesn't happen every time. Doesn't
No.
happen every time. But when it does, boy, they just blossom into a huge narcissist from my experience and what I've learned in that world. So because they're trying to protect themselves and they're saying, Mom thinks she's number one. That must be the way to do things. That's what it is. Okay, so I got to do that too. I'm number one. That's the person, she's raising me. She's my dad. And that's what you do. You're number one. You forget what everybody else wants. They don't care what I really want. So I've got to care what I want, and I care what I want, and I don't care what anybody else wants. So that's one style. There are 2 or 3 ways to go about
Mm.
when you
That's
become a narcissist.
interesting. Do you think Harry's a narcissist?
Yeah. Yes.
I thought you were going to think about it.
No. 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 I've thought about these because when you see them and you go, "Wow, look at that! I know what
I
that
thought you
is."
were going to say, well, no. I didn't think you were
No,
going to
he
come
is.
back.
No.
Okay, let's watch this clip. Let's watch this clip. Let's watch it.
Okay.
I'm the happiest that I've ever been. And Manada, which is a female-founded podcast production company that I'm working with. They're fantastic. But I think confession for you today that I could very comfortably say is I'm the happiest that I've ever been. And that part, to have a partner and a husband who is just so supportive, and to have healthy kids that are so joyful in the freeness of their life and the safety of their life that we create for them. Of all the things that have happened in my life, I never would have imagined getting here at this point. I would feel just so happy and grateful, and I really do.
Well, let's see.
What you're seeing here is a narcissist in nirvana. She's on stage being asked questions about herself, where she can turn to all these people out in the crowd, the audience, and go, I'm happier than you've ever been or are going to be because everything is wonderful. I've always, I've got everything I ever wanted. I'm living the dream. I'm living this dream. I can't believe I'm living, and just goes on about that. So that's you're just seeing a narcissist who's in nirvana. They just can't get any better for her than what you're looking at right here. Everybody looking at her, somebody asking her questions, and on a stage too. It's different if you're doing it on Zoom or StreamYard, but if you're on a stage and you're ready for it and you've
Oh
you've
yeah, they
got all
sent her just to preface. They sent her all the questions because this lady goes off script, and you can see, and then she let it slip. She goes, "Oh, this question wasn't on script," and she immediately corrects herself back, and you can see Meghan Markle panicking because somebody apparently did a clip imitating Meghan, and then you can see Meghan's face is like, "What?" and she hides her face like that, and she goes, "Oh, we're not going to talk about it. People are telling me that's off script." The same thing with Drew Barrymore. They're all scripted. All the questions are pre-approved and scripted.
Hmm.
So this is all like, how can you be so wonderful? So do you think she's happy though? Do you think she's being honest there, saying she's really happy?
Narcissists at that level are never really happy. That's why she has to keep doing that, because she's trying to reach that place where she's happy. That's why, and I'm not just saying just her, the narcissist of that level, the clinical narcissist, they really hate themselves. They don't like themselves at all.
Oh
That's one
wow.
of the things about narcissism. You'd think they just absolutely love themselves. They don't. They can't stand themselves. So they're trying to always reach that point. In a few seconds, she'll get there during this where everything is great because everybody's looking at her and all that. So she'll be able to fly up high enough and get in that little zone there where, wow, it's all about me for real right now. And then when it's over, it starts going back down. So part of narcissism is they don't like themselves at all. So
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, is that why she has
Ask
so many
ask your friend about that.
operations, I wonder if she has so many operations because she really dislikes her Black heritage, she never mentions it or, like, she's caught on camera saying, "Nobody ever treated me like a Black woman." And it's like,
Hmm.
God, I wish I were Black, because like I do lives with P. Dinah and she's gonna reach out to you because she wants to have you in her channel. She's huge. And she says Black don't crack because she's Black, and I'm like, oh my God, she's like my age and she looks 20 years younger because, of
Hmm.
her skin color and everything, right? But with Megan, it's the opposite. And so you don't think she's happy no matter what? I mean, this woman,
Yeah.
understand that she was next to the Queen of England. I am Canadian, so
Mhm.
I would have given anything to be next to the queen. That, I mean, even within 100 meters of the queen, just to wave. And this woman was standing in the royal balcony, one of the most powerful people in the world, and I mean the most
Mhm.
beloved and respected, and she was not happy.
No, no. She reached those places. They can be happy, but they're not all the time happy because they don't like themselves. I thought you asked me if she was happy all the time, or are they happy people and they like themselves. No, you didn't ask me if they didn't like themselves, but she doesn't like herself. But there are times when she's happy, like on this. Remember, I said they get up and they hit that little zone for a little while, and then go back down. The only time it's probably been better when she is standing there on that balcony with the royal family, and she's a princess or whatever she was calling herself back then. So
Yeah.
they can get in the you can make them happy for a little while when you lavish them with the praise that they want and need, but that's the only buzz they get from that, and then they go back to hating themselves.
Oh,
You have to keep encouraging that thing. That's why they're controllable. A lot of people don't understand that. You can control a narcissist if you look at it as an ego, and that's all forever from then on. You can get them to do what you want. It's it takes a lot of understanding of the way that personality type works, but you can get them to do what you want. You can get them to answer the questions you want. You can get them to do things you want if you do it correctly. And it's not like you just ask them to do it. There are things you have to do as well. You have to um, ask questions from a different angle, in other words. But it's possible.
okay. There's this interview that I know you analyzed. I know you analyzed this interview a little bit, but I'm going to show you this, and I want you to look at her face because she tells the story, and then I'm going to show you another clip, okay? Because this is very interesting to me, and there's quite a few things that she says that I know you guys have talked in the behavior panel where she touches her nose. That's one of the dead giveaways. She's lying and
It's
stuff
not
like.
a dead giveaway. No, no, hang on a second. Just because you touch your nose, a lot of people are under the impression that touching your nose means you're being deceptive, or looking down to the left means you're lying, and those kind of things. There are no specific, and a lot of people think this too. There are no specific tells or cues that tell you somebody is lying for sure. There are
Mhm.
none. There's not one, not
Oh,
one.
really?
Oh yeah, there aren't. You have to
Even
look.
if she has a pattern, for example, if she has a pattern of doing some sort of gesture before she lies, that's like her go-to gesture, and then you can tell you can't.
No, you have to look at the situation, and you have to make decisions about what you're seeing. A lot of people that you hear on YouTube, they'll say this means they're lying. This
Oh,
means they're doing
okay.
that.
Oh,
Don't listen to those people. They haven't researched
thank
their
you
their
for
information.
correcting that.
Yeah, they're just puking up information they've gotten somewhere else and from a magazine or a movie or something like that. They haven't researched it themselves, or they would know that's not true. Again, there are no single body language cues that tell you somebody's lying ever. Not
There's a
one.
question for you. Can an arc be cured?
No, no.
Oh, man. Okay, that's awesome. I just love the way you said no. I thought you were gonna say with therapy or whatever. That's a no, right? That's something that's in them.
Yeah, you can tamp it down. You can make it, you can make them aware of what's happening if they don't care. I've seen it so many times and read things
Oh,
about that. And so in a nutshell, no, you can't.
okay. So let's go to this one.
You'll think this is a very bizarre example, but when I was 13, my first job was at a frozen yogurt place called Humphrey Yogurt. Great name. And that was in the 90s. So what were the big shows and things that were on then? Baywatch.
Nice.
And so it was like Carmen Electra, Jenny, like all these people, Yasmin Bleeth. And I was taking the trash out from my job and I see Yasmin Bleeth. And I cannot believe I'm seeing Yasmin Bleeth and I'm holding this bag of trash. And I was like, the courage that it took for me to go up to her.
Yeah.
And I went up to her and I said, hi, I love you in this soft and dry deodorant commercial. That's all that could come out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And she was so gracious. This is such a pivotal moment for me because I never knew I was going to become an actor or someone that people would go up to.
Yeah.
But this moment was so influential for me because she turned around and she goes, hi, sweetheart, what's your name?
Mm.
First thing I learned. I was like, I'm Meghan. And that moment, I was like, she cares to know what my name is.
Mm.
And then she's like, hi, I'm Yasmin. I know who she is, but she introduced herself. All those years later, no one teaches you how to be an actor once the show becomes successful.
Yeah.
No one teaches you what to do when people recognize you.
Yeah.
That moment with Yasmin Bleeth taught me how important it was for someone to make me feel seen and not brushed off. And she might have been asked 100 times that day for a picture or anything else. And it always stayed with me where I go, hi, what's your name? Good to meet you. I'm
You
Meghan.
always do that. I
Yeah.
see you do that.
Wow. That's
Well, I'm
so hard to watch.
next is going to blow your mind even more, but let's focus on this thing.
Okay.
What do you make of that story?
Oh, that's, she probably met her, and the rest of that she's made to make her look better. And it may be, excuse me. It may be all true, but with a personality type like that. And I just thought that I don't know. I can't take somebody, when I did this thing on my channel and I had to take all these parts out that make me want to vomit, where they're both talking like this and girl, and, I went and love you. And I put them all in one thing. It's like, I think it's 2 minutes of both of them going back and forth and doing that. Nothing else but that.
Do you think she's telling the truth about Jasmine
She met her.
behind the garbage thing and stuff like that?
She probably went out to empty the trash or something, and there she was. And she's like, dang, there's Yasmin Bleeth. And when I said, hi, I liked your commercial. Oh, thank you very much. And I'm sure that happened. But keep in mind, she's got to make her look good in this. So no matter what happens in the story she tells about herself, it's going to be the greatest. I think that probably happened, but it probably didn't happen verbatim, word for word, the way she said. I would bet $1 million on that.
And you would win because let me give you just 2 pieces of information. Meghan Markle claims that she's 13 when she started working at Humphrey Yogurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's illegal in the United States of California to work at a place. You have to be 15 minimum, especially back then, and you need parental consent. Yasmin Bleeth commercial, because she says she praised Yasmin Bleeth for the commercial. The commercial came out in 1997. Mm-hmm. So Meghan Markle would have been 16, not 13.
Whoops.
Okay, so now I'm going to show you. This is an interview she did with Entertainment News. Way back in 2013. So for you to watch it, because you are right. I do believe that she met her, but watch the difference that she talks about now. I mean,
or let me say one other thing.
Yeah.
What she could be doing is telling someone else's story. You see, because quite often when people will lie, they'll take somebody else's story and say they did it. So keep that in mind. That's a possibility too. So that could have happened to a friend of hers or somebody she heard on the bus, or she never rode a bus, wherever she was. She heard somebody talking, somewhere and heard that story, or maybe her friend told her that and she's using that and saying, here's what I did. People who've gone to war a lot, they'll hear all these wild stories that happen. It didn't happen to them. But when they go back home and tell the story, nobody's going to know. So they'll say, there I was. And those stories start out with, so there I was behind the lines. They were shooting, and this is just from people that I know that tell me this. They're military guys, and knowing tons and tons of military guys, they all say the same thing. Here's how you know somebody's telling you one of those, because it all starts with, so there I was. And so this probably happened in some way. Maybe she's got the years wrong, maybe something, trying to give her credit for all that, but she could be telling somebody else's story as well.
Another thing is that she was trying this whole thing, this because both the Time 100 and the Jamie Kern is to dispel the bullying rumors. Okay,
Yeah.
so this was how wonderful she is, and this is why she always asked. The whole point that she wanted to make, that why she always asked a little girl, "What is your name?" and why is she so kind, is because, as she said in that clip that you watched, it was such a pivotal moment in her life that it really went into her. That this is why she always makes it a point to ask little girls, "How are you?" So
But
gonna
see,
show
what she's
you.
doing is she's putting herself in that position of I'm so great when little girls come up to me now. Back then I was nothing and there was this big huge star, but now I'm the big huge star and these people who are nothing come up. So you could look at it like that as well. I'm getting so catty on this, I can't believe it. But she
No, I
makes
know,
a
but no,
mistake.
but it's true. But this is gonna blow your mind, and I do believe that in this one she's telling the truth. But let's see what you
Okay.
think of this. Let me.
I do. I sound like I'm like 15 talking about her.
Yasmin Bleeth. Oh my god! I wrote Yasmin Bleeth. That's the only one I ever wrote. And then I saw her. I used to work at a frozen yogurt store in LA. It was my first job. It was called Humphrey Yogurt. And I saw her in the parking lot. And what do I say to her? The most ridiculous thing you could say. Oh my god, I love you so. I loved you in that soft and dry
The
commercial.
most important thing I put on is soft, smooth, and feels just like silk.
She just looked at me very blankly, like, okay, thank you. And I walked very meekly back into Humphrey Yogurt.
See, she's just embellished it so it makes her look and sound better, and she can incorporate that into her story. That makes sense. Unless she was pressed for time, they said you got 15, 20 seconds. See if you got anything you can tell real quick. Because that happens in TV as well. I'm not a TV person, but I know that from having known people in that world.
Yeah, but it would make sense that Jasmine Bleeth would be at a parking lot, not in the back alley of a garbage area.
Yeah.
And the response was that Yasmin Bleeth just looked at her, gave her a blank look, and she went inside. So do you see how different the stories are? How in one story, I mean, this is why she's so good. And here, she's the way she's laughing. Do you think she's coming across truthful?
Who knows? That's probably more between the two stories. That was probably more realistic. I'm sure
Buy that
back
one?
then I'm sure when Yasmin Bleeth was on that big show, it was like the number one show in the world and all that, or in America anyway. I'm sure she saw her, and I'm sure so many people came up to her and stuff. She probably didn't blow her up, probably wasn't mean, but probably didn't have the time to go, hey, here's hey, what's going on? And
She
connect
gave
with her
her a
like
blank
she was
look.
saying.
She
Do
gave
what?
her a blank look. She said she gave me a blank look and just said thank you and walked in, and she just went back embarrassed. That's what Megan is saying in that
Yeah.
interview. So that's what
Yeah.
most likely to reality. So why do you think this woman? Do you think that she doesn't realize she's giving interviews and that people are going to dig them up?
I probably didn't think about it, probably didn't worry about it, you know, probably forgot about that. She probably tells that's not the only one she's told. There'll be tons of those things like that, whether it's on video or film or not. That's why liars they have to have the most wonderful memory in the world because you have to remember what you said back when you said it. She has if she if she has a history of telling that story. She may have told that story, maybe one of her stock stories when the first time she met a famous person. But then when she gets to where she's, all the world, is looking at her on these interviews, she doesn't remember doing those and thinks nobody will remember that. And then tells the better version of it, or she doesn't remember telling that story before that she, told a
Hmm.
different story.
And I wanted to ask you about this because so this one.
That face right there, that's the way I feel when I watch this
I'm sorry,
interview.
I put you through this. Believe you me, I need alcohol a lot of times when I have to, with her podcast or latest, or when I have to go listen to the podcast, I have to like shit.
Yeah, that's
It's
yeah.
like it's terrible. But I
Yeah.
wanted you to listen to this because this is very telling for me as a person, but I don't know.
Not to be taken for granted when you have a partner and a spouse who is just so behind you. I mean, that man loves me so much. And, look what we built. We've built a beautiful life and we have two healthy, beautiful children. And, you know, and I always think about it like, and
I mean, why does she say that man loves me so much? Why not we love each other?
I don't know. I guess
I mean, this
because
is from a narcissistic point of view because you've been with narcissistic people. Because usually, when you're in a healthy relationship with someone, you would say, "Oh, we're both in love with each other." You know what I mean? You're married. I mean, your wife wouldn't say, "Oh, Scott, that man loves me so much." She would refer to you, "Oh, you know, my husband, oh, Scott, you know, we love each other, we're in love." But you don't need to praise it so much. Why do you think she needs to repeat it in public so much?
because it makes her look loved. That's what we're talking about. The narcissist, you have to love the narcissist. They want everybody to love them. And so she's got a guy. I don't know what she's got on this guy to make him like to still want to be with her. I don't know who he killed. I don't know what he set on fire and did, or whatever this guy did, man. She knows about it. That's why she can say, he loves me so much. In other words, look how much this prince, he used to be prince, whatever he is, loves me. That's why he loves me so much he can't hardly stand it. You know, no, well, that's what she's gonna say. That's another thing they love to talk about is how much people like them, how much they're liked and loved, because that's what's going on up here. They want that to be the true their world. They want everybody to love them. They want everybody to like them because they hate themselves.
You you did a. Do you mind if I play one of your videos from your
No,
show?
let you
No.
play anything you want as
Thank
much
you,
as
thank
you
you. It's
want.
just that you did this thing because this was very telling for me that you did that because you're analyzing this part of her marriage. I think you're talking about her marriage and how she's eye blocking. Listen to what Scott is saying here, guys, because it's a
Think that Megan is doing this for show, which apparently, well, hopefully it is, because that's weird behavior that we're seeing from both of these people. If we're supposed to be thinking under the impression that they're being authentic, that's really odd. So I would think that Megan is doing this for a reason, this interview, and that we're being prepped for something, is what it feels like to me up to this point. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. But I think she's friends with this Jamie Kern Lima, if that's what you say her name, um, for a reason. I think something's up. Bank of America recently announced there's my ad. Megan. She could be mirroring her, matching her. You know, you do mirroring, matching them, and you may literally mirror their movements during your conversations. But we're also seeing that open-handed thing with a shoulder shrug. That's a little questionable as well. I'm sure she trusts her, but only to a point, because she comes on like she's known her forever. But as the interview goes on, she talks about how she doesn't know her that well, and they haven't known each other that long.
and I liked the idea of being able to be so authentically myself with someone who knows me in such a deep and profound way. And I think that's where you can meet people on a really, really pure, connected level. When you were saying, like, do you want to see us?
Talks like that, and nobody acts like that. Again, it may be for show, which apparently, well, hopefully it is, because that's weird.
Or the point that I wanted to show is that where you're talking about when she's asked, "Will you be married to the guy?" And she goes, "Yeah, yeah."
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
That's the part of the clip. But please go watch it, guys, because it's. I mean, I was watching this and I was just blown away because do you think when she's asked, "Do you think you'll be married?" and that response that she gives, you
Yeah.
know,
And so actually, I remember that part because it's burned and on my frontal lobe. I can't get rid of it. So the or my hippocampus, sorry. So when she asked you, do you think I think it was, do you think you'll always be married? And she's like, yeah. And the way her voice goes way up and the way she says it really fast, everything in there suggests, see, I can't say for sure, but suggests that she doesn't believe that, because when your voice goes real high like that, and she hasn't done one of those real high yeses or really spoken that high throughout this, up to this point anyway. So that lets you know that there's a little stress there. And when we get stressed, our larynx closes up a little bit and we get a little bit tight in the throat. It's nothing you can feel all of a sudden, but it happens very quickly. So your voice goes up, more air gets pushed out, so it's a little bit louder. And then she does that thing, I think it was the one shoulder shrug, which indicates that there's lack of confidence there. So I don't
And
think
you
she's.
said that, and then she added what did it for you was that she added the qualifier that, oh, he's a fox or something.
Oh yeah,
She's
a
not a fox.
qualifier.
He's ugly looking.
Well, I don't know. I mean, look at me. Look at that nose.
No. But you're
So I
better
can't.
looking than he is. You know,
So I
like,
tell everybody.
but that qualifier did it for you because she felt the need to compound. I mean, why would she compound how he looks to why she's in love?
I don't know. A qualifier is a thing that you add to an answer to make sure it sounds believable. And if it doesn't sound believable, then you'll add qualifiers that take it just off the track enough to not stay with that first concept you had, not all the way away. You don't deflect with it. You just take it off the track just a little bit so it sounds like it belongs with that, but it really doesn't. So she's qualifying to make her answer sound better, make it sound true,
And
or
I'm going
like
to
she
throw you in
believes
for a
it.
loop. I don't know if you watched the Candace show and with Harvey Weinstein. Have you watched that interview
No,
live? Okay, I'm
no.
going to play you a clip because this is Candace Owens, and this is just a short clip, and see
Hey,
what
before
you.
you go, check this out. If you look at my forehead right here, you can see
Uh-huh.
where that filter starts. Look at that. It only
Oh,
works to
I don't
there.
have a
Whatever the
filter. You
filter
must
is.
listen. Look, you can. Okay,
How
but
do I
look
get
at
rid of that
my
thing?
wrinkles. Look at all my wrinkles. The only thing I have is a lamp. I don't have any filters.
I've got some
I don't
wrinkles,
use
but this
filters.
thing's. Well, look at that. It only goes up to this part of my forehead. I don't know how to turn it off because this isn't Zoom.
Oh,
What? You
StreamYard.
see what I'm
StreamYard,
saying?
but StreamYard doesn't have filters.
Wow. Look, but can you see what I'm saying? Look at that. It
Is it the
starts right
lighting?
there. You
No,
can
is
see it
it
go
the
up. Looks like I've
lighting?
got a skull cap. Looks like I have like a.
It could be the lighting too. You know.
It's not the lighting. It's
Yeah,
the.
because you see when you go back, go back.
I know because the filter
You
turns
see it
off or
moves
something there. But look at the difference. You can see the line there. It looks
because you can
blurred.
see me. Like I don't have any filters at
I know
all.
you don't. But I don't know what's going on. It's freaking me
Wow,
out.
you must be having something that there. You're not telling me.
Why don't you?
After the live, you have to give me the name of that filter because I want it.
Does StreamYard have a filter on it? Do they?
No, you don't have filters on StreamYard.
Huh? Because whatever it is, it's on. Because look at me. I look tan and everything.
Yeah.
And from here down, there are no wrinkles or anything. Look at this.
I
You can
wish I
see up
could. Yeah,
there.
no, you don't. You don't. If I could have the filters, I would. Otherwise, But I wanted to show you this because this is very interesting. You know that Harvey spoke to Candace Owens, right?
Mhm.
So this case has fascinated me for a long time, and so especially with Gwyneth, because there was something about Gwyneth that I didn't trust. Because if you know her background, you know that her godfather is Steven Spielberg. Her
Mhm.
father was this amazing, well-connected. He's passed away, but he was this famously well-connected producer too.
Hmm.
Her mother's Blythe Danner. I mean, she's royalty. So when you have Steven Spielberg as your godfather, I mean, you know what I mean? You're not
Yeah.
somebody without fame. Okay. I would say even that Steven Spielberg has more pulling power than Harvey Weinstein because he's a director everybody wants to work with. That's my take. But listen to what she says, right? And then listen to the Candace thing.
I'll kill you, or something like that. May not have fame or power yet, and energetically. What he did was he leveraged his fame and power to protect me at a time when I didn't have fame or power yet.
Right. Wow. It moves you.
Yeah, it was fantastic. He said, if you ever make her feel uncomfortable again, I'll kill you, or something like that.
It's a complete fabrication, about my relationship with Gwyneth. I'm going to talk about it and just say that I had a meeting with her. Originally was scheduled to do Woody Allen's Everyone Says I Love You. Thank God I was distributing that
No,
movie.
this guy's full of it. You can stop
That
there. She's
substitute
already off track.
for Gwyneth so that Gwyneth could play.
No, he's already deflecting. You can go down the road of this is probably. And just so you know, I know that this actually did happen. What she's talking about is true from people that I don't hang out with any movie stars or anything like that, but there are people in my brother's in the TV and movie business, and he hears things, and you get to hang out with people who are in that business. And one day we're eating lunch and we could hear people talking about that around when it had happened. And we were in this, what was the name of that place?
Oh no, he says he did hit on her. He doesn't
Oh,
deny.
okay.
Does say
But
that. He says
what
he
he's saying is
does
did
the
they
thing
say,
is that he's saying that it wasn't the way she says it was. She says that when they were
oh,
leaving.
okay.
So
Okay.
this is he's just saying that is not that the way she said it happened. This is why I wanted you to watch it, because he's not saying he didn't. He said I did make a pass.
Well, yeah,
It's
but
not like she says it was.
okay. Well, I think it was worse than what he's saying or whatever, because from what I heard, it was pretty bad. From what I
Well,
heard these
he's
people talk
well.
about when we first
I
had
mean,
it, they
this
were
is why I
bad.
wanted you to watch how he says it to see if he
Mhm.
can what
But
you think.
whatever he's doing, he's deflecting away from his. He already answered it, and now he's adding this stuff about movies and everything else. So, and maybe I'm jumping to conclusions because I'm so used to seeing these things that I
Yeah.
go ahead and move on before listening as I watch videos and clips and things. But I would feel, I don't know, man. This guy's so full of it.
But
You
if
know.
do you want to see what he said? I just want if you want to, if
Sure.
not, that's
Yeah.
okay. Just because this is something that really surprised me, to tell you the truth. I wasn't
Okay.
expecting it.
Okay.
Sorry, let me just show that to you. There, what am I
Okay, I'm
doing?
making
It's
him on
here.
this thing.
There, here. Ah, let's leave it there.
Emma. And Woody Allen did us a real favor by doing that. I said to her, I'd love you to give me a massage. And she went, yeah. And, that was it. I didn't put my hand on her. I didn't touch her. I definitely made a pass, I guess. You could call it that. But that was the sum total of that situation. She did have Brad call me, and Brad, very manly, very cool, just said, don't do that again. And that was that. We made 11 movies together, classic films, Shakespeare in Love, Talented Mr. Ripley, Sliding Doors, just so many great movies and such a great.
So, what do you think of that?
I think it was worse than what he said, because if it wasn't, I mean, of course, Brad Pitt would have called him up and said something, but I'm surprised he didn't go over there.
Really?
Yeah, this guy's so, people like that are so slimy. There's no telling what they'll do. I'm sure he did. I'm sure it was much worse than what he's saying.
From his body language, do you get that he's lying?
Yeah, well, the evidence I'm seeing that would suggest that to me would be the bobblehead. He's going like this, and his head's going. He's not even when he's illustrators are when your brain is emphasizing specific words and phrases, like I did just then, specific words and phrases. Your head can do that too. Even though you're saying no, you can be confirming that no, because this is a confirmation nod. Now, when he's doing a confirmation nod, if it wasn't like that or whatever, but he's also doing his head no, and it's his back and forth thing. We call that the bobblehead. So there's something that's not, that he should be going down one road, but he's trying to go down two roads. So his head is shaking yes and nodding no, and it's a bobblehead. If you'll watch that again, you'll see it's really small, but you'll see it going up and down. And it's not from Parkinson's. It's not a neurological situation, because it's not happening any other time. And it ramps up and it gets slower and it gets faster as you do it. So I'm just, people like that I automatically look at, because I know his history. It's not because I'm seeing specific things. I can say, yes, you can tell because of this, that, but I know the guy's history. I mean, we all do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough to look at those and be honest about,
Yeah.
not having a gut feeling, because,
Yeah,
but
because
he's
of the
been to,
history of the guy. But do you think that bias can also play into why, like, because sometimes we want to dislike somebody so dislikable that you would believe anything. Do you think that could play also? I'm not saying that he didn't do the things. I'm just saying that because I am biased too. I have, like, for example, you can't touch William Shatner, or Cristiano Ronaldo or Keanu Reeves. Those three you don't mess with.
yeah,
Those are pretty much the only ones I'm biased against.
I'm the same way.
But and I get like, no, I get so defensive. So and then again, I have people that I deeply dislike because of their actions. People confuse that I hate them. I don't hate them because I don't know them, but I call out their actions. But in this day and age, it's calling somebody out is being hateful.
Mhm.
So do you think that could have a role to the fact that he's so
Yeah.
dislikable? He really is dislikable.
Yeah.
It's like, Yeah.
I'm biased against him. I could never go anywhere and say, "Oh, this." I couldn't like do a breakdown of him on my channel because I don't like the guy. There's so much I know about him already where I have
Yeah.
visceral reaction
Action.
to the things he's done that I know about. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
Literally, just ugh. There's no way I could look at it uh, a
You would
logical,
not be a
intellectual
neutral
point of
witness
view.
in a trial.
No, oh no, no, they kicked me out quick.
And
Yeah.
we're just gonna end it up with this because you've been so kind with your time. I just wanted,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just wanna, because this is a little bit about when she's talking about her kids, and this is something that I always, as the mom, I am a mother. I don't know if you have children, but I am a mother, and for me, this doesn't make any sense. And there's something that she gives away. And let me see if you can pick on it or what you think of.
Make it a point when I'm traveling if I can't do bedtime stories with my kids because Archie and Lily are just 3 and 5. So I'll always pack a really thin book and I'll videotape myself reading it. So whoever's with them or Papa can say, "Here's Mama reading your bedtime story." You find.
Ugh. I'm sorry. I missed everything. I was just being so grossed out at the time.
But why do you think, how can a mother not know whoever is with them?
I don't know. And to be honest with you, and I swear to you, this is true. I didn't hear a thing she said. It was just, it was. Can we
Gibberish.
watch it one more
Well,
time?
yeah,
Our
because
brain
she's
just.
talking about the children, and she says that whenever she travels anywhere, she always carries a thing book. I can't send her voice. I'm not going to play it again because I really do believe it or not. When I had to listen to this and prep for you, it's going through these things. I even stopped drinking coffee because I was just like, if I drink coffee, I get more hyped. So basically, she's saying that whenever she goes away, she always carries a thin book and she records herself reading her kids' stories and whoever is with them. And then she immediately sees that she made a mistake or a slip up and she goes, or pop, or pop, I don't know what she says, pop. Then they can read it to them. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I'm so unprofessional right now, but just
that's
I
okay.
had to
I love
watch
it that
that
you're a
whole.
professional. I love it.
I had to go through that interview with that Lee McKern woman and her, and it just, and from then on, it just scrambled my brain. Every time I see it, my brain just goes, "Nope, not doing that." So I know it's really unprofessional. You asked me to come on here and be
No, don't worry
professional
about
about
it.
that.
You're not being unprofessional. I love it that you're being human and honest.
Yeah, I
This
can't.
woman is hard to watch. Okay, guys, this is to give you an idea of how hard it is to watch if a man like Scott Rouse has a hard time going through it. So I hope you understand that what we have to go through. Because Scott, I have to go through a lot of this crap, and I have to, because for me, the important part here is I'm Canadian. And every time it's like, if you work for an institution like you, when you're with the behavior panel, right? Even though you're part of that group and you have to conduct yourself in a certain way because whether you like it
Oh
or
yeah.
not, it reflects on your group. Now, these two people are around using royal titles from an institution that represents Canada. The head of state of Canada is King Charles. Okay. So whether we like it or not, they go around and they say all these very public lies. They accuse the royal family of inexistent racism, or they do all these things in Colombia, Nigeria. It reflects bad in an institution that represents me, and it makes us all look like idiots, you know. And it basically denigrates your status in that institution, or it denigrates the institution. You are very conscious of your profession, right? And you, as you said, even you now saying, look, I'm sorry, I'm professional. You're not, but because you know that you have an image, in something. So for me, it's very personal, all the lies. And I can't understand for the life of me how these people are allowed to break so many rules, break the law, using royal titles, and still get away with it. And nobody calls them out in all their blatant public lies. And instead they're protected, which denigrates the institution that unfortunately still represents Canada.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like when you're
Yeah.
watching the U.S. president do stupid things, and it's like, and they go on world stage and they do stupid things, and you're like, oh my God, he's my representative.
Yeah. When
You
Biden
know what
had
I mean?
dementia and all that, and they're pretending he didn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Did you see that Meghan Kelly interview with those reporters?
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
bothered me because they never took accountability. They never owned up that they lied.
No.
And
Yeah,
this is
no.
what bothers me with situations. And I find that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are the fluffer side of the serious things that are happening because they're heavily pro censorship. Harry went on the Clinton Foundation to do half an hour speech on censorship.
Hmm.
And they use children as a shield to promote censorship. So for me, I have a big problem because they have access to huge platforms. And it's not like you and I that you work really hard for your platform. They have instant platform.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see the Clinton Foundation, calling you. "Oh, it's not, come and do a half an hour. We'll pay you 500,000 for this."
Yeah.
Or that he can call BBC, come in, let me. I saw that the interview that BBC, did the BBC thing. What did you make of Harry in that BBC thing?
Uh, oh, the latest one where he's
Yeah,
by himself and all that. Yeah, there's something going on. I mean, I felt so sorry for him in one way
really.
because he seems like, yeah, he's got some, in my opinion, he's like, he's by himself in that thing. Usually he's with her, you know. I don't know. It just seemed kind
What
of,
do you think of the power dynamics in that relationship? Who do you think
she's
really has?
driving. She's
She
driving.
does,
There's no question about that. She's the one in
really.
charge. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No question about that. And from not just me, but from everybody else I know that has looked at that situation, because I asked psychologists when I talked to them, like, what's going
Yeah.
on here? Dude, here's what's happening. And they break it down for you. And you go, okay, that's what I've been hearing. It's always she's the one in charge. She's the narcissist. She's a this.
Somebody asked a question there. Do narcissistic people are always pathological liars in your experience, or are they, or
Well,
they?
they don't lie about everything. They don't lie. Hi, Sparkle. Thanks. Scott's amazing. Yes, he
Of
is.
course you are. We love you.
No. So they're not always pathological liars, no. Just when it serves them best. Everything is about making me sound better and look better and doing this or that, the other thing. But yeah, they lie a lot. Heck, everybody lies a lot. We all lie. I do. I know,
Yeah,
all
but
kinds of little things.
they could be white lies or something that
Yeah.
it's something like like if you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, but to go on those huge platforms and lie like that. Is there
Mhm.
any awareness, or do you feel that there is no need for consequences? Like the same thing with Biden. Everybody in my channel, I was calling it out, saying this man, because my first profession, I studied physical therapy, right? I never practiced it because I started working on other stuff. But one of the things that I worked when I was doing in Canada, at least, they send you to work in hospitals almost immediately, like to practice, right? And
Wow.
there's this type of gait that people with advanced Parkinson's and
Yeah, I'm
dementia
very
have.
aware of it.
You know what I'm talking
I
about,
know
right? So you guys
exactly
can
what you're
full of
talking
shit, So it's that gait, and I remember why it's like almost like a little hop when they walk,
about. That turns
like
into
a
a shuffle.
shuffling gait, and people are like, no, he's mentally okay. He's just running to the podium, and I'm like, that guy was not running to the podium, like that guy. I can recognize that gait, but
Yeah.
people, and just now. Do you think that if Trump hadn't won, that this would be exposed or these people would have called it out?
I had no the idea. There was one time, I'll tell you my experience with, there was
Yeah.
a one news channel I did and I did them all the time, every time a political thing came up on there every time. And then they'd always have me, when Biden things would come up, they'd say, what do you think? What are you seeing here? And I always have to say, I would always steer away from it. And then one day I was like, no, I'm just going to say it. So this is what you see when you see dementia. I know what this looks like. This is this, and this what it is. And the person said, oh, you think so? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just shut up and they never had me on for that person again
Yes.
on that thing. I
Oh,
mean, I
no.
still,
I love politics. I love politics. The thing is and I used to work as a diplomat for many years, and I know a lot of things that are like, I know the diplomatic talk, and I know when people cover things up because they always deflect, or I know that talk of never really answering. It's like when
yeah,
I saw that interview with Meghan Kelly, I would have been so frustrated. I would have just said, just say yes. Why can't you say, yes, we were told not to talk about this, And I
Yeah.
see the same thing with Harry and Meghan Markle, all the cover up. It's like everybody doubles down. It's like the Justin Baldoni thing with now with everything that's happening. I mean, these people double down. Is it unawareness? And this is the thing I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people ask me, ask him. Are
Yeah.
they unaware that people know that they're lying, or are they just entitled and used to a certain type of behavior that they face no consequences, that they're used to not facing consequences, that people really want you like ask them, because
Yeah.
people don't understand that. How can
I'm
they lie
not,
so publicly?
but see, I'm not a political person. I'm not a
No, I'm
news
not
person.
talking about Joe Biden. I'm talking about people like Meghan Markle or Blake Lively or any big public figure
Mhm.
that is caught lying, and rather than saying, you know what, I'm sorry, I lied, they double down.
Oh, then shoot, who knows? People do that for a variety of reasons. You do it to save the ego, so you're not embarrassed in front of everybody because I'm never wrong, so I'm not wrong here, and so it's hard to fight. For example, well, no, I won't talk about that one, but yeah, some people just they never want to be wrong, and the people that you like are the people who say, "Oh man, I did this. Yeah, I got busted. I did that. I'm so sorry. I should have done that." And
But do you
because you
think they're
feel that
aware?
way too. Hmm?
But do you think they are aware that they're lied?
Yeah. I mean, if they're lying, they come out and lie. They like this thing with, for example, with Megan with her thing about the meeting Yasmin Bleeth. She's not being honest about that. We know that from looking at
But does
the
she
other
know it?
thing. Does she
Does she
know it?
know it? Uh-huh.
Yeah, she knows it.
Because a lot of
Yes.
people come to my channel, oh, she's unaware, she's a narcissist. She's unaware, she's lying,
Oh, does
she's
she know
unaware.
she's a narcissist? Is that the question?
No, she's unaware of her actions because she's a narcissist, and therefore that's how narcissists behave. So therefore that's a
Okay,
common trait.
let's talk about that for a second. Okay, narcissists look at it like this: the emotions of anger, and when they don't like somebody, they feed off of that. They need that. They want to make you mad. They're doing things to make you angry. So they
So
know
so
what they're.
so go back. What do you mean that
If a
they
narcissist is
provoke you?
if a narcissist, let's say if you're in a let's say you're married to one, and say the
Uh-huh.
woman is the narcissist, or the man or the woman, either one, they'll do things to their partner to make them mad because they feed off of that. It gives them something to talk about with their friends and say, "Look how horrible I'm being treated by him," or "Look how horrible she's treating me." If it's the guy saying it. So you get that they'll create situations on purpose for to make that person mad or react so they can take that and say, "Look what's happening to me. I'm such a good person. Can you believe what they're doing to me?" There's that thing. They don't know that they're a narcissist. You can never tell them that, and they will never accept that. They don't see that because it's them, it's their person. That's like me telling you, you know what? I got some news for you. You're actually, wait, what would be a good one? You're actually Asian. I know it's crazy, right? But you're actually Asian. You sound Hispanic to yourself, but to us, we see you as Asian. That's what it sounds like. It sounds Asian. So there it is. And for your life, you'd
Is
go,
she aware
that's
of her
not
behavior?
true.
She's aware of her behavior, though. She's aware that she does this on purpose
Oh,
to
she's a
provoke a reaction and to do this. For example, she knows because I mean, this is people because people don't know why she does these things. It's like because and I don't know how to answer and say I don't know because I don't think that way. Scott, I
yeah.
really don't think that way. I don't understand why Ryan Reynolds, who's Canadian, by the way, not all Canadians are like Ryan Reynolds. I have to be, we're nice actually. Um, um, People say that she's not aware of her actions, that she does them and without thinking that those, and that she doesn't think of the results or anything like that.
But
And my
but
answer
here's
is
what
that she's always gotten away with it.
yeah, but it's not a black and white situation. There are some things she is aware of, and there's some things she's not aware of. Like that thing about she's probably lied so many times, taken
Mhm.
something small and blown it up to something big, like she did with that Yasmin Bleeth story. That she's aware she's doing it, but she's not aware she's doing it with other things like that in her life. So there's not a one way or the other way. That's why I've got to be careful what I'm saying, because he thinks this or he thinks that. I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist. I'm just
No,
telling
no,
you
no.
what
We know
I've
that. Guys,
right,
nobody's saying here that we know he's
right,
not a psychologist. He's a body language expert. He teaches
yeah,
and stuff like that. And he's very clear saying that all the YouTubers telling, oh, she touched her nose, that's wrong. That's
yeah.
not, because
Well,
there's
so
not
what I'm
just
saying,
one.
but the thing about are they aware of it? It's not a black and white situation. They are for some of it, and they aren't for other parts of it. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah, but
my
are they all cunning?
understanding.
Are they all cunning? Do they always plan things in order to get away with things, or are they? Uh, um, you know how some people plan stuff ahead. You know,
Mhm.
like and they want this outcome. And for example, when she says, "I don't watch social media," we know she does. You know, or like when she didn't
Mhm.
Google Harry, we know she does. You know, or I mean, or I mean, there's so many things that people say. Why do they do that in public, in such huge platforms, and they get caught every single time lying? And I'm
Because
not just talking Megan.
they probably think they'll get away with it. You know, they think that they want you to think they're wonderful. So no matter what it is, they're going to tell you what makes them look the best. Whether it's, my thing with Yasmin Bleeth and the comparison, me juxtaposed against her then, and then me juxtaposed against other girls now. It was the thing she was making. It just, I don't know. There's so much that comes with that, and I'm not a psychologist, so I can't
No, but I'm
really.
saying from your experience, because you have treated or talked to, not treated,
I,
you have talked to criminals, I assume, and
yeah,
you interrogate them. I
yeah.
can't be in a room with you interrogating me about things, because I probably start laughing. And it's
No,
like,
it's just
yes,
that's what
I
I
did
do for a
it, I did
living.
it, I did even more. I did it. I just take the
Yeah.
child. I am terrible. I'm terrible. And then
No, you're not.
but you've talked to criminals who are narcissists. You have talked to
Yeah,
psychopaths, right?
yeah, yeah. That's what I do.
So
That's
you can spot that, and you can say
Well,
without
stop.
with
Hold on.
certainty.
Hold on. You can't just see. I want to get specific with you, because we're talking about specific things like being able to spot a psychopath. Everybody goes, "Here's how you spot a psychopath." You
No, no,
can't
no,
really
no, I don't
spot.
mean like that. I don't
Oh,
mean it like that. I mean that you have an idea because you
hmm,
work with this. You know, like
hmm,
for example, I'm not an expert farmer, but I've been working in a farm for 6 years from scratch. I can tell you I'm not an expert like my engineer, but
hmm,
you know, since I'm so nosy, I ask about everything. I feel that I'm very competent and I can say a few things about certain things about of the fruits that I grow, right?
hmm.
And I'm saying this in a general term without you being a psychologist. There are certain traits of a psychopath and sociopath and narcissistic person that you can spot and say, most likely, this is what it tends to be, or this is the behavior that I have observed in my experience. That's what we're
Right.
talking about here, guys, just
Okay.
to make this absolutely clear. Okay.
Okay.
Because I'm not talking about whether you're an expert in psychology. Oh, no. I'm talking about your experience, what you have seen, what you have witnessed, and in your interrogations and in your professional capacity,
Okay.
and we can apply that to these people that you've never met, you've
Right.
never treated, but
Right.
there's some signs out there that are red flags for you that can tell you, you know what, I know I haven't treated them, and I may not be a psychologist, but I've seen enough in my professional capacity that says that's a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. The personality type. That's what I generalize them and then start getting more specific. So I'll know the kind of person I'm dealing with. So if it's a hardcore clinical narcissist, I can control or have better control of that situation because I know how to deal with that personality type.
How can you deal with somebody like that, though, Scott? Like, for example, if you were to get Megan in an interrogation room, this is a woman who had no problems cutting her father off.
Uh-huh.
Her father that she couldn't praise enough all her life, a man who raised her.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, this is a woman who cut him off completely. How can you, okay, if you were to have her in a room, how can you disarm this type of personality?
You placate the ego. You placate the ego, but you have to do it subtly. You can't come on and just be saying, "You're so wonderful. Hey, would you shoot this guy for me?" Or "You're so wonderful. Tell me what you did wrong." You you there's an attack or an approach you use, and you have to placate the uh the ego, and you rub up against it and and go against it a little bit, and then when you go against it a little bit, it comes back strong. I can't, it's hard to explain. So I
You
don't
can't
train
deal
the
with it
team.
then. So you can deal with it. There's
Yeah.
ways to get around this person.
Yeah, but I don't want to do, but in my world, it's like this. Now, and I'm going to say this, so hear me out. So I hope somebody takes a chunk of this, goes, listen to this guy. Holy smokes, he's so full of it. I can make, for example, I can make anybody, I don't care who they are, what they do. It could be an astronaut or a teacher, you name it. I can make them like me and love me. I can make them think that we're going to be great friends and they're going to like me more than anything. I can make them believe that for 4 to 7 hours, and
Wow.
that's it. Because I know how to act that way to make them feel that way for 4 to 7 hours. That's it, and it goes away.
I need
Okay,
you to teach me
so
that trick.
no, you don't want to know, because when the
I'm doing
person
it
leaves,
right
they're going to
now.
go, "Why do I feel that way? Something's not right about that person." But I only do that when if the need comes up, if that person has done something wrong, and I need to get information from them, and I need it as soon as I can get it. That's when I flip that little switch and go, "Okay, I got to make this person like me." It doesn't work out with people you're just meeting and those kind of things, because it's fake. And they can go outside of that room and they can look at other people and see their reactions and things. It's theater of one, that one person you're dealing with. So that's what I'm saying. Whoever it is, I can make them like me for that very short amount of time, because that's usually about how long it takes me to get them to tell me what I need. Sometimes
Oh,
it takes a lot
really?
longer,
Really? That's what it takes to get. What have you
depending on what it
ever?
is.
And this is out of personal curiosity, because it's so fascinating. I have a friend who's a psychologist, as I told you, and I said to her, I don't know how you do that, Amy. How can you talk to that guy and pretend to like him? Because we're talking about child killers here and stuff like that. And she's so gorgeous and so beautiful and so kind. And it's like, well, that's part of the job. And I'm like, have you ever been in a situation when you're interrogating somebody that you said, I just can't deal with this guy. It's just like, it's too gross for me. Have you ever been in that situation, or just powered through?
No, those the kind I like dealing with, because I know how to deal with that kind of person. And I can make them really like me and really connect with me. I can connect with that kind of person,
Really?
because when you do that, you have a job you're supposed to listen to me get all serious over here. Sorry, I'm treating like this like it's training. But when you deal with somebody like that, let me get my head out of that. You've got a job to do when you go in to talk to somebody like that. Because if you don't get it done, they may get loose and go do what they did before again, and something even worse. Or they may never get caught doing it again. But if you don't do your job correctly, if you don't focus on that person and get what you need from them, which is them to tell you what they did and why, they may go free. So you can't say, I can't stand this person. I know people who have dealt with that before, and they have to, once I've seen it happen once, where a person had to get out, they didn't have a problem and jump out, and they're just like, dude, I can't do it. Can't do it. You're like, okay, I get, because they've had problems like that, or for whatever the reason is. But you have a job to do when you go in there. And if you don't do it, they could get away and do that again. So you have to take it really seriously. It's easy to say, yeah, there's some that are so, and if you're not in that world, I can see why you would ask her that. And I can also understand where she's coming from, because it has to be done. She has a job she has to do. I'm sure she hears some
I'd be repelled.
horrifically
Be
weird
repelled.
stuff.
Like you really need to be made out of strong stuff, because just like you, I mean, I'm sure you see horrible cases, and I am sure you read their files before you go in there, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't go in there. I mean, and so do you mentally prepare yourself for stuff like that, and say, you know what? Okay, this is how I'm gonna get this guy. I'm sure you have strategies and stuff like that, but I don't know how you do that. It's a power to you, because I wouldn't be able to sit across without wanting to, I don't know, to hurt that person, especially if they're guilty and stuff like that. So one question that somebody posted there: are all narcissists smart, or are they stupid? Can they be stupid?
They're like anybody else. It's like psychopaths. People think psychopaths are these brilliant things running around, these masterminds of crime and all that. And most of them are just idiots. There's masterminds and geniuses are few and far between. Same thing in psychopathy when you deal with psychopaths. They're not all brilliant. Some of them that get away with it for a long time are kind of smart. And there are some that are brilliant, but they're in business. They're not out killing people most of the time. They're getting what they need from businesses, and they crash those things and take all the money they possibly can. So the same thing with narcissism. You got some idiots, and you've got some really brilliant people. It's like anything else across the board. There isn't like they're brilliant and they're idiots. It's a mixture. They're brilliant and they're idiots and they're normal. I mean, from intellectually to the brain function and all those things. So, but some are just doofuses.
Do you think that Harry's is a smart narcissist, or do you think he's a dumb one, or not very bright one?
He doesn't seem. I don't know. I mean, look at me. I
From what
I
you've
don't look
seen.
like I don't look like the smartest guy in the world, so it's tough for me to go. He's not very smart. I've never talked to the guy, but from hearing him talk, uh, the vernacular he uses is that high end. He's royalty, so it's going to be hard to tell what's happening intellectually, how much he reads or anything. I don't think he's a big reader. I don't get that vibe off of him. If you're a big reader, you can usually tell when somebody reads a lot because of the words they use and how they form their sentences and things like, and they structure their sentences, things like that. I don't hear anything like that coming out of him. Maybe he is a big reader. I don't know.
No, he's
Maybe
not. No, he's not. I mean, Eton University, there was Eton College. It's a very posh thing in the UK. They actually there was a huge scandal that the teachers had to help him pass because he couldn't even pass the minimum grade he needed. So there was a huge scandal, and the teacher was paid off because, and it was just arts. He couldn't even pass that. So the teacher had to write the essay to pass, and she ended up being paid off after she won the lawsuit. So there's quite a few things, and all the speeches that he's given, they're always prepared by the royal family for him. So in every public speaking, it's always pre-approved. And just to finish up, because I want to thank you for being so here. I know this is I think that this is a torture for you.
Oh no, yeah, just watching them. If you want to go back if you'll go to my channel thing that we've been watching, go there. If you'll go there right now, we can watch that thing where I put together. It's like 2 minutes of those two.
Yes,
the
yes,
most
yes. I'll do that right now.
cringiest
You guys, I
part
have you on screen here. Wait one
of that
second. I
entire
have you on
thing.
screen.
That way you don't have to go over my channel to watch it. You can watch it.
No.
You
I
can
have.
see it.
I like your channel. Are you kidding? I watch it here. Which
No,
one do
I'm
you want?
saying so these people don't. Scooch down a little bit, or wait, scooch back up. Go back up. Go the other
The
way.
cringiest moments. This.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
Okay, let's listen
Let's
to
watch
I
that.
love that your eyes are sparkling right now. Meghan, how are you today? Which, by the way, I just have to say, yes,
Enjoy them.
I forgot to have fun. You're right. You're
Just have
right.
fun.
Do you think our lives are divinely ordered? Getting to know you for who you truly are. So why did you say yes to doing this show?
Because it's you.
Is like, I want people to see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to get emotional if I talk about it. It's a gift to celebrate my friend who are listening or watching, connect with the truth, and they'll know it's true in their soul when they hear and listen to this, and that's what I hear and listen to this, and that's what I hear and listen to this, and that's what I.
But you're the same.
You're the same.
Like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Be the friend that you want in your life, and you do that. I was having the worst day, and I was so sad.
Yeah.
I'm going to make Meghan a charcuterie tray. That is so beautiful.
No.
Yeah. That's a tough watch.
You had to go through the whole thing to put that together, didn't you?
Yeah.
It is. It is a nightmare, guys. And I have to ask you this: do you think those two idiots are smart?
No.
How did they get to that platform? That's the point, though. If they're not that smart, how did they get? Because I hear this all the time by reporters. Meghan Markle is such a smart woman.
Well, let's talk about we're dealing with two different kinds of smart. You've got the intellectual, you've got the creative smart, then you have the analytical smart. Analytically, I don't think they may not be the smartest people in the world. I really don't think so. But from a creative part, especially on the entrepreneurial side, of that girl Jamie Lima. I don't know how to say her name. She's apparently pretty smart. Yeah, because she's built this thing up, from a creative aspect, because she's built her company up and sold it for like $1 billion or something. Then you've got Meghan, who's hired people to build her thing up for her because she's, listen to me, I have like a little 15-year-old. She's conniving and everything else. But she seems to me like that she's manipulative enough to get into a position where she has fame and attention. So she creates products. She doesn't create them, somebody else does. She knows enough from an analytical perspective to get all that stuff put together and sell it. You see what I'm saying? So I don't think and I mean intellectual. I don't think Megan's an intellectual. That's what I'm talking about. Where you can talk in depth about Russian books on philosophy or the history of you know, in other words, literary things. I don't think she's a big reader either. I don't think she knows the history of anything except herself. I don't think she's aware of what's going on around her from an intellectual level. I think she looks at it as an analytical thing, what can help her. So I don't think she's s- intellectually smart, but I think she's smart as far as getting along in the world. She's brilliant at that. You know, I think Jamie Kern Lima, I think she's pretty smart because she's gotten a lot done. But I mean, from an entrepreneurial point of view, but she may not be a big reader and be aware of what's going on around the world either. But you don't have to be smart. But from the intellectual part, which I think is what you meant, I don't think either one are really smart. I don't think they have and by that I mean have a wide spectrum of knowledge about about many things. I mean they're good at one or two little, one or two things, which you can be really good at, but still not be a genius.
And one of the things, one last thing, guys, I hope you come back to my channel, but I promise you we're not going to talk about Megan, because I want to talk about Andrew. This guy is a lot more interesting. It's something that bothers me so much,
Mhm.
how they have become so infantilized in their voices. Why do they do that? That is so creepy.
I don't know. It is creepy. I can't. Who knows? I don't know.
No,
I'm
is
not.
that some sort
I'm
of
not.
behavior thing that they wanna look like little girls? You know
I'm
what I
not gonna.
mean? That they're appealing to, because I was talking to my friend who's a psychologist, and she's like, "That's actually quite disturbing that they want to resemble 13 or 12-year-old little girls. That says something about their psyche. I know we're gonna let him go because you're being so kind. You've given us an hour and a half. I hope you come back."
Oh, I'm
And
sorry. I've got a couple of minutes. Keep
oh,
going.
thank you. Yeah, it's just that my friend saying that is actually a disturbing behavior, because she says that they want to appeal to a certain male section that are attracted to younger.
I have
Oh,
no
is that
idea.
no. This is what my friend says. Oh, this is something in them that they are middle-aged women that don't want to admit that they're that age. It's like, so
Yeah.
we're going to be infantilized. Infantilization. I think I'm saying the right word in English.
Infantilization. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually, she says that's a very weird trait, psychologically speaking, rather than acting like, because you're talking about two powerful women, and yet they're like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
No,
don't know. I can't listen to it. It's tough, man. I
I mean,
just can't. It's just woo. You know.
no, but I mean, by the way, I did watch, I was doing a live, and I hope you go and I think that Sean Atwood wants to invite you to his channel. Is actually very, very, because he deals with criminals and all kinds of things, and they're like amazing, because it's please go check out Scott, because I watched this is the one that I was watching, this one, the psychopath awards and stuff like
Oh
that. I
yeah.
love those. I don't know, I think it is true that we women, I don't know if it's generalizing, but I think that we women love murder. Like, I mean, yesterday
Yeah.
I went to sleep watching Fred West and Rose West, and I kept on waking myself up because I wanted to finish the thing. Um, these are great.
No. Well, thank you. Thank
No,
you.
I'm serious, guys. You should. I showed them today, and the Sean Atwood channel and the live. I showed your thing, and she's like, "Show us that." Because I mean,
Oh,
this.
Sean Atwood. I know Sean.
Sean.
Yeah,
Have you
he's
been on his
awesome.
channel?
Yeah, I've been on his thing before. And the
Oh,
behavior
okay.
panel's been on his thing before.
I'll send you Ron's, because now they're doing all these kinds of things, and it's like now you have your channel too. You should go there. And I was showing your channel today there. I'm sorry, because I do lives with him. And we were talking that you were coming on, so I said he has his own channel now. And it's like, so I was showing, and we were looking at the psychopath one. It's like,
Oh.
oh my god, so it's
Yeah, it
amazing.
kind
So
of
these are the kind of people you deal with.
turned into the psychopath channel, which I felt, because I did these things where I was like, just answer like that one right there. I'll just ask people to have them write in and ask questions, and everybody, all of us on the behavior panel, we have our own channels. We just do that together. And because I said, let's all get together, and I've got an idea, let's do. So we all got together, and that's how that was. That's how we started the behavior panel. But yeah, so I just started. I was like, I haven't done anything on my channel in a while worth of hoot, so I'm just going to start answering questions. So I said, hey, anybody got body language questions? So like for an hour, I get on there and just, or longer than that sometimes, and answer questions. And they were all about psychopaths. So it was all women. So it just kind of turned into the psychopath channel. And then I started using. People are like, tell me about the study on this and study on that, and I was like, okay. And so I found this thing where you could take um, a PDF of a study and put it in AI, and it would sound like two people talking about that study. And I
I
put a
think
couple of
that.
those up, and it made people mad. Like, I don't want to hear that. That's creepy or whatever. So I started another channel called Psychopathy Talk, and that's where I put those things. So it's
Oh,
just
you have another channel
it's
called
this
Psychopathy
AI.
Talk?
Yeah, it's called, and it's just these two AI things talking about what it
Well,
read in the
I'm gonna put that in
study.
too because this is amazing. I mean, you know who triggers me, and I hate to say this, and Hillary Hayward Thomas, she does trigger me.
Who's that?
Hilaria Baldwin.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
She does trigger me. She does trigger me because I don't understand how they cancel Rachel Dolezal, but this woman is still up and about.
yeah. I have
You
no
know who
clue.
Rachel Dolezal is, right?
No. Oh,
Rachel
wait.
Dolezal, she was canceled. It was this white
She was
woman
the
passing for black.
political person, right?
No, no, no. She just was this white woman passing for black.
Oh, I remember her. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
And she actually has 2 black kids. And they
Oh,
found out about it, and there's even a Netflix thing called the Rachel Divide. This woman was brutally canceled, and yet we have Hillary Hayward Thomas from Boston. Hillary, you don't even speak good Spanish, and guys,
yeah.
I know she doesn't speak good Spanish because I speak Spanish. Her Spanish sucks. Okay, and then
Too bad.
and it really bothers me because how can this woman be rewarded with a platform of doing a reality show rather than being canceled for clearly culturally appropriating. And she has never, thank you for the super sticker, guys. And she has never once admitted, yes, I lied.
Hmm.
And this is the thing that
Oh,
we go
still
back
to this day, she hasn't said she
to.
lied. That's hilarious.
She came
That's
on.
bad.
You can see why you would need to interrogate me. I would come and because like she did this episode where she's blaming us. She's saying that there's something in her brain that is basically making excuses and shame on us.
Oh, well, that makes
Shame on
sense.
us for her cultural appropriation. Learn to speak Spanish. Just okay. I wish I were black. I'm not going to call myself black because I love their skin and stuff like that. I think, but I'm not going to say I'm black. I'm not going to be like Rachel Dolezal, and she was canceled. And this
Hmm.
woman is saying that she was from Spain, Mallorca. She had Alec Baldwin going and talk show
I
saying
remember
my wife
that.
is from Spain, and it's not racist me imitating her the way she. I don't talk like that. I know I have an accent, but guys, I speak 4 languages, so sorry. And I have an accent in all the languages, by the way.
What
So
languages which ones do you speak?
well, I grew up. My father was born in Canada, French Canada, French Canadian,
Okay.
and so he grew up speaking French and English, and my mom from this side is Spanish because my mom was born in Nicaragua, and
Hmm.
then when I was born, my dad would speak French, English to me, and then I would hear Spanish. So in my household, I spoke. It was normal to speak. The thing I would speak, my mom didn't speak French. So my dad, when he didn't want my mom to understand something, he would speak to me in French. And then my mom was like, "Paul, you can speak French, Paula."
Well,
And then,
let me ask you this. See if you
mm,
can. I'm bilingual as well. I speak Spanish very well. And
¿hablas
just
español? ¡Ay, qué maravilla! ¿Y por qué no
Sierra
venís
La,
en mi canal entonces? Tengo un canal en español, qué maravilla.
Sierra La Puerta.
Ah, oh
Sierra
my
La Puerta.
God.
I sat next to the door in Spanish, so
Oh my
that's the
God.
only thing I know. But I can say it pretty well. I think Sierra La
Oh,
Puerta.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, you know what I mean? It's like this is something that completely. So I didn't know until I started going to school, and then I would use
Mhm.
the same words I used at home. And then the teachers would
Oh,
say to me, "Why
what
are
are you
I
talking about?
what are you?" I say, "Well, that's troisième is third." It's like or whatever. Like and then so then I would come to my house and say, "Dad, you're speaking wrong because they told me that that word doesn't exist." And that's when I learned that what languages were about. because
Oh,
yeah, because in school the teacher
wow.
didn't know what the hell I was talking about, because I switched at home, so I have an accent, and then I learned Norwegian when I lived in Norway. So
Norwegian. What does that
yeah,
sound like?
but it's actually very easy to learn because it's got a lot of things in English.
You kind of people always say that. Oh, this language is easy to learn. I only know Sierra La Puerta in Spanish speaking, like I said, because I
Cerveza, I'm
sat
sure
next
you
to the
know that
door.
one. Cerveza, cerveza, beer.
Okay, I'm not a big drinker.
Okay, but no, the way the thing is, because of my work, you were encouraged to learn languages, and I
Hmm.
don't know if it's because I grew up learning 3 languages or it was normal for me. Then it's easier. And then, for example, Norwegian. Let me give you a word in a sentence. Um,
How about shut the door? That way I'll know it in Spanish and
thank
Norwegian.
okay. For example, whose is house in Norwegian is
Hmm.
very much, it has a lot of English things,
Hmm.
and for example, I mean, now I've gone blank with Norwegian, fucking Norwegian. Let me see. Yeah, 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 heter Paula. My name is Paula. Jeg is, and then you mix it with Latin because it has Latin. Yo in Spanish is my name, like yo. So, and then you have a blå huset, the blue house. Blå hus. Blå is blue. Hus is house. So you have, I try to look for similarities in words. And whenever I'm in a country, I never interact with people. I don't look
Hmm.
for my community. In fact, whenever I was in Norway, I would go to the stores and they all knew me and they would try to speak English to me. And I said, no, 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 på norsk, and Norwegian, how do you say? And the first words I learned was, how do you say? So I would ask, hvordan sier du? How do you say this? So, and then I would say, and I would point, and then they would tell me. So that's how I
Okay.
learned the languages and stuff like that. But Norwegian is very easy to learn. The only problem is it has 5 additional vowels that are, yeah, but it's actually very easy to learn Norwegian. It's very easy. The one that really drew me, and I could never ever find a link was German. Because when I went to Germany, that I would try to find a link to any of the languages, and for some reason I couldn't find any link. Because I usually find a link in any language like French, and
Hmm.
Spanish, and English. I couldn't find a link in the German one, so it was quite. I remember when I dated this Polish guy, I learned a lot of Polish. I forgotten jak się masz, jak ty masz na imię. Yeah. It was very easy for me to learn a lot of that, and they used to laugh at me that I could sound very Polish when I wanted to, but I never really properly learned it. But I only speak 4 languages, and I have an accent in all of them. But
Hmm.
Ilaria drives me insane.
Uh,
My grandfather was from former Yugoslavia. I would never call myself Yugoslavian.
Yeah. Oh,
You
I
know,
get it. Yeah,
I,
I
I
get
I
it.
don't know if you know what I mean, and it really bothers me. She triggers the hell out of me, so I can't stand it. And I am going to be doing a series on her because somebody has to call her out. I mean, it's just something wrong with her mentality. She's just like Meghan Markle. It's
You need to
something
get
wrong.
a psychology friend on here. That's what you need to do. And
What?
ask her the thing. Get your friend who's into the psychologist or psychiatrist lady you've been telling me
Yeah.
about.
But
Get
she
her on here
forgotten
and
her
ask her
English.
all
She's forgotten her English. I met her when on a flight from Spain to Brussels when I was stationed in Brussels. And Amy was very good. Like when her mother died, she died of cancer very young and never traveled the world. So Amy said, I don't want to die and not having traveled the world. So she took on and started traveling the world, like, and stuff
Oh,
like that. And that's how we met. And
wow, that's great.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And she's her mom was Miss Argentina, and she's very
Wow.
beautiful. Even my gay friends said they would turn hetero for Amy. That's how beautiful she was. But anyways, I don't want to take more of your time. But I hope you come back
Of
because I want
course.
to talk about Andrew, Prince Andrew. There's some things there and some behavior as well of other people that I find absolutely fascinating. And please, please subscribe to his channel because you have been so kind with your
Well, thanks for
time.
having me on here. I appreciate it.
No,
Thank you.
so you guys better go subscribe to his
That's
channel
fine.
because it's amazing. I've been such a huge fan of yours. You can tell.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
And you're amazing. Thank you for your insights, for your expertise. And what should we look out for when we meet somebody? What are some red flags of advice that you can give us? For example, some lady said that her sister never apologized for anything. If that is a red flag.
Um, if one, I don't know, a red flag for some people just like that. If you meet somebody, like I was talking about earlier, I said I can make anybody like me for that 4 to 7 hours. If you meet somebody and it's just wonderful and you think they're the most wonderful person in the world and all that while you're talking to them, and then you leave that situation, a little while later you go, what was wrong with that? Why does that feel so, why do I feel so weird about that? Did something's up. That's a red flag. If I'm gonna leave you with anything, it would be that.
Love
Just if it,
bombing. Is it what's called
well,
love bombing?
no, that's something, that's a different situation. That's where it happens all the time. But in that first 15 to 20 minutes or that first engagement you have with them, not 5 minutes, not 10 minutes, but for a little while, if you're sitting at a bar or something, and it's
What is
just
the
so
difference?
well,
What
because
is
they're
the
doing to
difference
you what
between
I'm
love bombing and you?
love bombing takes a while. It just and you pick a person and you do that to them constantly. Usually a lot of narcissists will do that. Some of the controlling, manipulative personality will do that. It's one of those situations.
So you
So
do pick somebody.
do
You
what?
target somebody. You target
Yeah.
somebody to do
Yeah,
that.
it's targeted. Yeah. Yeah. But what I'm saying is if you meet somebody and it's wonderful for that first 20, 30 minutes, and then you leave that going, why do I feel weird about that? Then that's the heads up. That's what you should watch out for.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. And guys, go subscribe to Scott. And Scott, thanks for coming, sweetie. I am such a huge fan. Thank you. And I apologize that I
It's
tortured you with Meghan Markle. But if I suffer,
okay.
you suffer, you know.
It's okay. We'll suffer
And
together.
thanks for your honest opinions on Harvey and everything,
Yeah.
because yeah, I mean we all are. And please go subscribe to his channel. Thank you for coming, Scott, and you have a wonderful day, guys.
I will, you too. Thanks so much. I'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.